Guys, welcome back to Own the Hunt. Today we are going to talk about the long overdue review of the Wave Atris 650 thermal scope. Stick around. Guys, thanks for joining me today on Own the Hunt. If this is your first time here and this video helps you at all, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Guys, I'm excited for this one. It's been a minute since I've released a review on a thermal unit, and there's a good reason why. Before we get into this review though, I do want to give a couple big shout outs. First big shout out is to my man Connor over at Foxhole Armament. Guys, I wouldn't have this scope to use, to test, to review if it weren't for Connor. Connor hooked me up with this scope for a few months, and I've been testing it, putting it through its paces. So Connor over at Foxhole, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Connor is a Wave dealer, so hit him up if you guys have any questions. Second shout out, guys, no review on this channel would be complete without a shout out to my man Logan over at Fall River Shooters. You guys, Logan hooks me up with thermals all the time. That's how I get thermal units for testing on this channel, to give you unbiased, raw opinions of, you know, what I think of these thermal units. No BS behind it, okay? So Logan over at Fall River Shooters, guys, hit him up if you guys are in the market for thermal units. He is a Wave dealer now, so check him out. I think he's gonna have some of these Atrises probably pretty soon, if he doesn't already, so fallrivershooters.com. All right, so guys, I'm excited for this video because, well, a lot of reasons, actually, a lot of reasons. So this kind of goes back to my trip out to Texas, okay? I know a lot of people hit me up and they were like, look, you know, you went out to Texas, you got to hunt with these guys at Wave, you got to use the units. Obviously, you're gonna say good things. And I can't tell you how far from the truth that mindset is. If you know anything about me, then you know that I'm as honest as they come, okay? I'm not gonna BS you guys. I'm not gonna fill you with fluff, because at the end of the day, if you buy something based on my recommendation and it was, if it came from me just being bought, right? Or like incentivized to give something a good review, then that doesn't do you any good, right? The consumer. And these things aren't cheap. So I'm not gonna sell you something or tell you to go buy something, or even tell you something's good if it's not, okay? I'm not gonna give something a good review. A lot of you know that about me, but for those of you who don't, ask somebody who does know me, okay? So with that said, you guys, I'm excited for this video because I put this thing through its paces for the last, I'd say, a good 3 months, including my trip to Texas, among other Wave thermal units. And so Wave is relatively new to the thermal market in a way. They're actually backed by the company Fusion Thermal, which makes some great thermal units. Also not a super well-known brand in the consumer thermal industry, right? The hunting world. So Wave came along, right? And the owner, Chris, basically was like, look, we want to keep our Fusion Thermal brand where it is, but we want to introduce a new brand called Wave, made by hunters for hunters, okay? Sounds cliche, right? Yeah, I've heard that before, okay? By hunters for hunters, right? I've heard it before. It's a great marketing scheme, but in this case, it's true. And I had to see that to believe it, and then I wanted to see, like, okay, you know, all of these claims you're telling me, I need to find out for myself, because I can't tell the consumer if they're good or not, all right? So now that we have that out of the way, what do I think of this scope? Guys, this is an amazing scope. This is the Wave Atris 650. This scope has been absolutely rock solid for me for the past 3 months. Ran it through its paces in Texas in high humidity, low humidity, rain, fog, heat, right? So a huge gamut of like weather variables I got to see while I was in Texas, but then that wasn't good enough for me, right? I was like, okay, love this scope. When I came home, it was really all I wanted to run for a scope. Ended up selling my iRay RH50R, got this one as a test unit from Connor, and I've been running it ever since, okay, about 3 months. And shot a few coyotes with it. I've done quite a bit of hunting with it, have a decent bit of time behind it. Some cold weather hunting, really, really hot weather hunting, rain, fog, like all the same stuff I mentioned, guys, but here in Maine where I hunt. I'm happy to report that I have had 0 issues with this scope. When I say 0, I literally mean 0. The app is my favorite app that I've used to this date. Downloading videos from this scope is the easiest and fastest of any scope I've ever used, okay? So that's been a big pain point for me, and I don't know what Wave is doing, but the transfer times from the app to your phone, lightning fast, okay? Fastest scope transfer times I've ever used. I transferred a 14-minute video the other day from this scope, and it took just under 3 minutes. That's unreal. So like your 30-second to 1-minute clips, those are downloading in like seconds. It's awesome. So really love the app. It's a great user experience, and it pairs really well with the scope. The minute you turn your scope on, if you've put it in Wi-Fi mode before, it immediately connects to it. You don't have to fumble around in your phone. It just connects, it works. I never have to mess with it. To that point, guys, when you turn the scope on, the Wi-Fi mode, as long as it was on before, the last time you turn it off, it'll turn back on with the scope. A lot of scopes don't do that. Kind of a pain in the butt, right? You have to go back in, enable Wi-Fi just to pair it to your phone. I don't like that. Image quality on this scope. I know a lot of you are gonna be wondering, what's the image like? It is awesome. Okay, this is a sub 18 millikelvin scope. What does that mean? It handles rain, fog, high humidity really well. I know there's some sub 15 millikelvin scopes on the market, guys, but this stands toe to toe. Like I said, sold my iRay RH50R, and at that point there was no scope that really could compete with it in those weather conditions until I found the Wave. So this is a 3X base mag scope. In my mind, that is perfect. So they nailed that for me as a hunter. I don't know if that's perfect for you, but I think in almost 90% of all cases, 3X is like the sweet spot. Even for hog hunters now, I'm seeing taking longer range shots, things like that. My absolute favorite thing on this scope is the top focus dial on this. It's not something many manufacturers are doing in the tube style scopes. You get this top turret. It's so intuitive. You're not fumbling around with a focus knob on the bell housing, which can take you off target. It moves your scope. Like, it's just, this is way better, okay? I've used that type of focus knob on the more compact style scopes, and it's just night and day better, you guys. I don't really know how else to put it. Just from a user experience, it's better. This has the perfect amount of resistance. Like, it's not hard to turn, and it's not easy to turn. It's just like, it's buttery smooth. It's incredible. The size is perfect, whether you have gloves on, no gloves. It's just perfect. And I know for a fact that Wave spent quite a bit of time on this knob. I know they went back and forth with their manufacturer on literally the size and diameter, the size and height, and they nailed it. It's perfect. Next thing about this scope that's incredible, and I know it's probably not a big deal to some of you, or maybe some of you didn't even realize, but I can't tell you the amount of scopes that I have had to thread a cap onto the scope in some way or another, and the threads were so cheesy, right? This scope has some of the absolute best machining and thread work I've ever seen on a thermal scope. You don't have to fumble around. It just threads on. They're not chintzy like aluminum threads that feel gritty and feel like you're gonna strip them out. Really just high quality threads. A great attention to detail on this scope, and that theme carries throughout the entirety of this scope, right? It's from the threads to this, the knob, the lens cap, the actual lens itself, guys, the buttons back here. It's all premium feeling stuff. It's like no stone was unturned when it came to designing the scope. Okay, guys, so this thing runs on a single 18650 battery. I love 18650s. You already know that about me. I've talked about it probably more than I care to admit on the channel. Single 18650 down in the top turret. Okay, that's all this top thing does, nothing else. Put your battery in, positive side down, screw the cap on, you're good to go. Runtime is pretty darn impressive on this thing. I'm getting like maybe like 7 to 8 hours out of a single 18650 in this. So pretty darn impressive, at least from my experience. Guys, no complaints in the battery department. You can totally run it with an external pack if you want, but man, keep a couple 18650s with you, you're good to go all night long. Hunting a tournament, no problems. Some of you are gonna wanna know, is there an internal battery in this? No, there's not. And I gotta tell you, with the runtime you get out of this single 18650, I don't see the point in having an internal battery, all right? And I'm really, really glad Wave decided to leave that out. Guys, it's a point of failure, right? That typically means you'd have to send your scope into the manufacturer to get fixed, right? They'd have to take your scope apart, pull the battery out. It may never be the same, okay? So like the fact that Wave was like, look, we're not gonna put an internal battery in this scope, that's like music to my ears, because I've been on the fence about how I feel about it, except for that so many scope manufacturers went to that design, right? The internal battery with an 18650. And yeah, you get some pretty impressive run times, but you also have additional weight, which by the way, guys, this is one of the lightest tube style thermal scopes I've ever ran. You can see here, it's sitting on my Horizon 22 Creedmoor full carbon build with a titanium diligent defense suppressor on here. I wanted a lightweight package, and this Atris 650 complements this lightweight build incredibly, okay? From the carbon stock to the carbon barrel to the titanium can, I didn't want to have all of that investment to then just put a massively heavy, big, and cumbersome thermal scope on this unit. So it pairs perfectly. Lightweight unit, incredible, just incredible. So guys, over here on the outside, right, there's a turret that does spin. These are rubber over molded. I'll get you some close-ups of that stuff. All these caps are rubber over molded. This one here spins. That's going to be your digital zoom in and out, as well as your navigation in your menus. One of my absolute favorite things about this scope, you guys, is just the ease of use, right? You don't have a lot of buttons, you don't have a lot of menus and things you have to navigate. Wave made this probably one of the easiest, most user-friendly scopes I've used to date. Just the way that they thought about the hunter and the things that matter, right? So something that you're constantly adjusting in the thermal scope, or at least I hope you are, to get the best, you know, the best picture possible, is contrast and brightness, right? Those are two of the most commonly messed with settings in a scope, right? So what Wave did is a single press of this outside button on this turret. That's going to bring up a little side menu on your scope, and it's going to give you the ability to adjust your brightness, and then if you press it one more time, it'll switch, and that lets you adjust your contrast. And to adjust those up or down, you literally zoom in and out or spin back or forward this dial, this turret, and it brightens or darkens your screen, and then it like adjusts your contrast up or down. Guys, it's my favorite. Like, I say my favorite, it's just one of my favorite things about this scope. To dial in my image and get it looking so good is not cumbersome. I'm not digging through menus to get to those settings. Those two settings are accessible with the tap of a button. You press it once, adjust your brightness to where it looks good, press it again, adjust your contrast to where it looks good, you're done, okay? It is awesome. I love that. Okay, so while we're talking about features I love, let's talk about some of the other features about this scope. They properly added the ability to navigate your files, your video files in the scope. You can delete them, you can watch them, and you can browse through them, okay? It's very intuitive, works extremely well. If you shoot something, right, you want to go back, look at the file. Maybe you have recoil activated video on. This thing does that extremely well also. And you can be recording and also have recoil activated video, guys. It's got it all, right? Every bell and whistle. It has audio recording, which is very, very good. Guys, I like to give scopes a rating from 1 to 10 on audio quality, because I kind of am an audio snob when it comes to these things. 10 being, 9 or 10 being my RH50R that I had. Guys, the audio on that thing was incredible. You could hear a pin drop outside, man. It was great audio. I'm gonna give this scope probably a 7. The audio is good. It's not great. It's extremely serviceable. You guys know, like, if I'm gonna use a scope on this channel, the audio has to be good. It's good, right? I'm able to use a scope, record my audio, it gets whispers, it gets the gunshot, it gets my call sounds, it mitigates wind pretty well. So like overall, it's very good. A 7 is a pretty high number for me in regard to audio on a scope. So talking about some additional things on the back here, guys, you have this kind of round, reminiscent kind of Pulsar, but they did things a little bit better, right? They kind of made it so that the buttons were kind of recessed a little bit and had like a separator between them, so it's sort of easier to get to them. So you've got your power button at the very top, just long press, turn your power on. You've got your color palettes over here. This thing has like, I think 6 different color palettes, 6 or 7 different color palettes. My favorite on this thing is actually black hot, which is interesting because you know, if you know me, you know white hot is kind of my deal. Black hot on this thing is scary good. Like, I mean scary good. Probably the best black hot I've ever seen on a thermal scope. So I've been running it in black hot, not because white hot's bad on it, but because black hot is so damn sexy on this scope, you guys. I can't get away from it. So I still run my scanner in white hot, and I'm running this thing in black hot, man. I love it. And then over here, you just have this third button down in this corner. That's gonna be your photo and video button. Long press to start video, short press to take a photo. And guys, it just works. Like, it literally is the only scope I've used to date that hasn't failed me in some way, shape, or form. That's huge. I don't really know how to express that, except for that, like, it's never failed to turn on. It's never shut off on me. It's never had a glitchy video where I've had to like reboot it. It's never not recorded a video when I wanted it to record a video. Guys, the list goes on. Like, it's just rock solid. You also know me, guys. I'm not a fan of these rubber eye cups, okay? So what they did is they made this magnetic, right? It just kind of magnetizes to the back of the diopter. Works great, honestly. It's not super, like, the retention isn't like incredible, but like if you bump it out here, it's not going anywhere. I know a lot of people want to know about that. I mean, if you grab a hold of it, right? If you really grabbed it, yeah, you could probably pull it off pretty easily. I don't run these, guys. I toss this in the bag. It doesn't go anywhere. You've got your diopter focus back here, which is nice and smooth and easy to use. For me, I have this thing dialed all the way in. I think I turned it in maybe a little too far, but you can spin it out. It's easy to use. And these diopter focuses, guys, this is it's kind of like a set it and forget it setting, right? So it's different per user, but once you get your diopter focused to where it looks good for your eye, you kind of just set it and forget it. You don't mess with it. You do mess with this front focal focus ring a lot, and that's why I think they spent so much time in developing this and making sure it worked really well. Something unique to this scope is that the body is aluminum, but then you've got this nice rubber overmold on this bell housing, and it just makes it kind of like, it's just a nice touch, right? I don't know that it serves much of a purpose other than it's a really nice touch. You know, it feels nice and soft and kind of like premium. Additionally, they went with this kind of like graphite looking accent color ring around the bell, the front focal bell. I really like that they did that. It's kind of a nice color. I haven't seen that on any other thermal scopes, so really like that they did that. Guys, branding on this thing isn't in your face. It's not ridiculous. Over here, you've got Wave branding on the diopter, and over here you've got Atris 650 on the diopter as well. Aside from that, branding is really minimal on this scope. I guess I should probably mention this over here. This is a cool design. It's a quarter turn port. You can turn it and you pull it off. You pull this cap off underneath. It gives you access to your USB-C, which is where you can do your transfers for your video files. You can also charge a scope there. So really like that they did that. Additionally, the microphone is under here, and they do give you a nice little port on the cap, actually 2 ports. So it doesn't matter how you put this cap back on. You're gonna get audio, and I like how they did that because that's, I think, how they're mitigating wind so well on this scope, is with that cap, and it's sort of directing the audio into the microphone and sort of rejecting things like wind and stuff like that. So really well done. Guys, to date, this is actually my favorite 640 thermal scope I've ran. No, it doesn't have a laser rangefinder. That's not a big deal to me. I mean, I miss my rangefinder sometimes, but guys, I'm on the fence, right? Like, a rangefinder is awesome, and honestly, if you give me the option, I'm gonna have a rangefinder. This scope is simple, it's bulletproof, and I love it for that. So that's why I like it so much. A lot of people are gonna talk crap about the screen size, right? This doesn't have the big 2560 by 2560 display. Be careful with that, okay? There's a lot of marketing and stuff that goes into some of those specs. I'm not gonna say that a 2560 display isn't better or bigger, but in the way you implement the screen can really change the user experience behind it. And I always thought like, oh, bigger is better. Well, listen, when I look through this screen, no part of me is like, oh, that's tiny, right? I ran a scope of another brand not too long ago, and I looked in that screen and was like, that's tiny, okay? So, and it wasn't much smaller than the screen that was in this. So what I'm getting at is like, I think it truly has to do with how the manufacturer implements the screen in this rear body. And whatever Wave did, right, they didn't need a 2560 display in this scope. It's more than adequate. It's a great user experience, and no part of me is sitting here going, man, I wish I had my 2560 display back. So I'm gonna dispel that, just because like I know there's gonna be people that talk about the screen size, and for me, like, they did a great job. I'll leave it at that, right? It's like, it doesn't leave me wanting more. I haven't said price on this scope not one time, I don't think, in this video. This scope's like around 4,200 bucks, I think, or give or take, guys. Tremendous value there, given the 640 display, the 640 sensor, the 12 millikelvin, the sub 18 millikelvin, and the 12 micron pixel pitch. It's just an awesome scope, okay? I don't really have anything bad to say about it. If I had to nitpick it a little bit, I wish this piece back here were black. It bugs me since like I pull this rubber cap off and then I see this silver piece. It kind of looks like it's not finished or something like that. So I kind of wish that were black to match the scope, or maybe even like this graphite color to like kind of tie in. I kind of like to see that. They use extremely high quality germanium in their scopes, you guys. So this lens is so nice, very great quality, and the way they recessed it in behind, it's not going to get hurt or damaged. The lens cover is extremely nice quality, you guys. It does come off, and it is a very nice lens cover. I don't see a brand on it, but it's good quality, and I like that it doesn't thread on the scope. It just friction fits, pushes on, and it stays on there really nicely, and it can be spun around to whichever side of the scope you want to use, and it does bed in behind with the scope, so I like that as well. I'm giving this scope overall an 8 out of 10. It fires on so many levels, it checks so many boxes. The feature capabilities of it are at the top of any scope I've used. Picture-in-picture in this thing, when you have picture-in-picture enabled and you zoom in, it's zooming in your picture-in-picture and leaving your main display zoomed out, which I love. That was something about Pulsar I really loved. I know a lot of companies are starting to do that, but this scope does it as well. So like, you know, picture-in-picture, you get your picture up here, that's gonna be double what it's gonna start at double what your base mag is. So you're gonna have a 3x main display, you're gonna have a smaller picture-in-picture of like 6x, and then you can start individually or just like incrementally increasing that picture-in-picture zoom to get the perfect magnification that you want. And this thing just hits a home run for me, guys. Sad that I gotta send it back to Connor over at Foxhole. This won't be the last Wave scope I have. In fact, I'm probably going to run a Wave the minute I send this back. Actually, I'm probably not going to send this back to Connor until I have another Wave that I can run in its place. They've got their the Atris series, and they have this in a 384, and they've also got the Tempest series, which is their compact thermal scope. So I'm probably going to run one of those for a bit just to get some time behind that. But man, love this scope, you guys. Really don't have much bad to say. I do want to show you really quick. Let me put this aside. Packaging, right? Because I'm a big fan of packaging. Packaging sort of says a lot to me about a company and like what they put into their product. So this is what this scope came in, you guys. Really nice premium box, magnetic flip lid here. Talks about wave infrared. open this up, guys. Just a premium experience, premium unboxing experience. Okay, I'll put this aside. Comes in this really nice case. Kind of what you'd expect of a high-end thermal, but just Wave killed it. It's got a little bit of Wave branding here on the package. Does come with multiple 18650s, I think 2 of them total. Actually, I'm sorry, it actually comes with an 18650 and a shorter 18500. And so what they did, if I can get this out, they send a shorter cap. And guys, I know you're gonna all blast me on this. Wave's not the first company to do this. I know that, guys, right? They give you a shorter battery and a shorter cap. Well, guess what? They actually include the short battery in the short cap. There's another company that I'm not gonna name that gives you a tall cap and no tall battery. So like, then you have to go buy the tall battery to use the tall cap. So Wave gives you the short cap and the tall cap. So you get both, okay? And there's about a ½ inch difference there. So if height is something you want, or you want a shorter overall package, they give you the short cap. It's about a ½ inch difference, okay? And then you're gonna run this 18500 battery, and you can get more, but they give you an 18500, they give you an 18650. I don't know what more you could ask for, guys. Just an awesome package. The case is molded for the scope really nicely. Comes with some additional things. Let's check that out. Let's see what's in this nice pouch here. Probably a charger for those batteries. So you can charge the 18500 and the 18650 on this dual charging bay. So it's not like you have to, you know, provide your own charging device. Comes with a, looks like a data transfer cable and a charging cable for if you want to charge the scope itself. Let's see what's in this. Oh, your scope rings. Okay, so I used some worn, I think those are worn scope rings, but it does come with some Picatinny scope rings. Okay, so that's beautiful. It's the whole package, you guys. Nothing you're gonna need to provide to get going. They give you everything you need. Little lens cloth. I love it. In all of my testing, it hasn't happened yet that I haven't had a scope give me some type of trouble, whether it's app connectivity, video transfer times, audio issues, video issues. Guys, rock solid scope here. Truly love it. One of my favorites. So non-biased, by the way, not paid for this video. I came home from Texas with Wave, and it was an awesome experience, a lot of fun, but it wasn't like, hey, take some product or do this. It was like, hey, really glad you got to test our scopes. Really great to get some insight from you. Thanks. You know, it was kind of like I built a friendship for sure, but I'm not being paid for anything. And that's why I took my time to get this video out, because honestly, like, a newer company hasn't really proved themselves. I really didn't want to come out here and tell you guys like, oh, you should buy Wave scopes, or, you know, dealers, you should, you know, buy these and start selling them, because at the end of the day, you got to prove yourself in this market. And I had to spend some time behind the scope to feel comfortable. But I got to tell you, I'm happy to report I'm more than comfortable, and I'm thinking Wave is here to stay, guys. So anyway, I hope this video helped. There's gonna be footage at the end and probably some throughout this video. If I didn't put it throughout this video, definitely at the end. But again, hit up Logan over at Fall River Shooters if you guys are interested. And until next time on the hunt, guys, we'll see you later.